Welcome back to the stream. This being our first episode, I figured I'd fill you in on what we're trying to do here. What we want to do is give you listeners at home an accurate feel of what the American fisherman's life is like. In this first episode, I'd like to give you a little insight into the dedicated but hapless fisherman. The dedicated but hapless fisherman. What we have here is a dedicated but hapless fisherman. Dedicated to spending hours on a cold rock, sitting still, baiting and casting, and never catching a thing, not once. The dedicated but hapless fisherman is the most dangerous kind of fisherman. For what they do is the hardest work of all. They do all the work of regular fishing without the fish. And that's dedication. Welcome back to the stream. This is episode 2. Our next fisherman, which we will be covering, is the new but not improved fisherman. The new but not improved fisherman. This fisherman, he may have done other forms of fishing before, but he's never done stream fishing. So what he does is just bait. It's hardly ever cast. Just about the entire time, he's hung up on a rock or a log. Never once getting his line in the water for a substantial amount of time. At least not substantial enough to catch a fish. The new but not improved fisherman may lose his bait, but he will not lose his heart. Well, that's not entirely true. He may lose his heart. It happens all the time. But hopefully he won't lose his heart. And I hope he gains a passion for the art of fishing. Well, that was a good one. That was a good cast there. And we're right back out of the water. Nice. Welcome back to the stream. Your outdoor wilderness channel dedicated to all things trout fishing. In today's episode 3, we'll be covering the ambitious and successful fisherman. He is the most dedicated fisherman in camp. Second most dedicated fisherman in camp. Second to the dedicated yet unsuccessful fisherman. This fisherman knows his stuff, and he catches trout. He knows his stuff and he catches trout. It's a good combination. You will notice that as opposed to a tackle box, he has a vest. A vest loaded down with anything he will ever need on the fishing trip. These casts are precise. I don't know why there's that sun dot on my camera. This fisherman really knows how to fish. I figured this was a good time to go over the fisherman's the tackle box. Now every fisherman comes equipped with his own stuff. The question is, what stuff? Well, that depends on the fisherman. As you can tell, this fisherman is on a tackle box. He's opted to use a tackle box as his main transportation of goods. This tells us a couple things about the fisherman. One, he likes to sit down, hence the sturdy tackle box. Two, he always comes prepared, hence the cup holders. And three, he has a lot of equipment to carry, which tells us that he is an advanced fisherman. Now, the key to any good tackle box is variance of lures, bait, and hooks. If there aren't at least 17 lures in the tackle box that you are not sure when you would ever use it, that is a good tackle box. This spinner right here probably never get dipped in water again unless the fisherman drops his tackle box. Now, this particular fisherman's tackle box, as we can see, elevates and spreads out so that the fisherman has maximum access to all of his gear. But what's in the bottom of the tackle box is what really tells us about the fisherman. You'll notice he has a pole holder in case he ever has to bobber fish. Beautiful idea. He comes prepared with snacks. Let's take that for later. That tells us that he's always thinking. And finally, he brings a book. Any fisherman knows that when the water is slow, a book will perk him right up. He brings a stringer just in case he catches fish. This stringer probably also won't see any water unless he drops the tackle box. Now that we've covered the basics of the tackle box, feel free to head over to flambeau.com and grab yours today. I almost forgot to tell you about your host. Me. The host is always the one who's willing to sacrifice his day on the lake, or the river, or the stream, which is the name of this show. The host is always willing to sacrifice his day on the stream for a little A&W root beer, some cinematic magic, and to be a careful observer of the human condition. If you will notice the beauty of the trees, the wonderful stream, the rocks on which I'm sitting, all of these things are something that the host can truly appreciate, because the host is not overburdened with catching fish. Something that the dedicated and the ambitious fishermen could all take. Welcome back to the stream. Today we're covering the lucky fisherman. He has none of his own equipment because he's too unserious to buy his own. So what he does is he borrows all his equipment, and then he'll catch more fish than just about anybody. Notice the Nike Blazers, clearly not prepared to fish. And yet, I would not be surprised if on this next cast he reels in the biggest fish of the day. The lucky fisherman is the bane of all fishermen's existence, as they can do their best to not catch fish. They could actively be trying not to catch a single fish, and they'll catch anything they want to. just how lucky fishermen go. It's just how they operate. Look at that water. Very few things in this life are as powerful as the nap is to the dedicated trout stream fisherman. The nap to the dedicated trout stream fisherman is as crucial as his morning coffee and as critical as his lunch break at 10:30, 11:30, and 12:30. Without the nap to fuel his energy levels throughout the day, he would not be able to perform at such a high level of athleticism on the stream. Welcome back to the stream. As we have already learned, the nap is an important part of any fisherman's vocabulary, as we can tell. True fishermen know when to take a nap. Line in the water, nap being taken, finger on the line. He will know when he gets a bite and never even have to open his eyes. Welcome back to the stream. I'm your host, John Hagedorn, and today I want to tell you about the most treacherous part of fishing. The most treacherous part of fishing is not the fish. It's not the occasional black bear that the fisherman sees. And it's not even other fishermen. The most dangerous part of fishing is the rocks that have to be traversed just to get to an ideal fishing spot. These rocks have sometimes been likened to climbing Mount Everest, only worse. Some men have been known to quit fishing entirely just because of the sprained ankles caused by river rocks. Had any luck?
First bite.
Nah, you know me, I'm just happy to be here. The real test of a true fisherman is if you can cross the rocks, not get a single bite, and come back the next day. Cool. Hey there. Y'all here to watch the stream? That's good, because I'm your host, Fred Bear. Welcome back to your friendly neighborhood trout fishing channel. You got everything from trout to trout, and even trout on this here thing. Except the only thing that's not getting caught right now is trout. So that's unfortunate. Welcome back to the stream. All things trout related. In this episode, we'll be covering the convention. That's right, the convention. A convention is when trout hunters, trout seekers get together and decide that the day is done. These can be relatively heated, as the experienced, the lucky, and the dedicated all get together to decide if they want to be done or if they want to continue this torture. And over on the side, we have the inexperienced, the newbie. He is unclear of the rules of the convention and doesn't realize that his presence is not necessary. As we approach, remember to keep your distance and not offer any opinions, real or otherwise. The newbie clearly doesn't understand this and is about to offer his opinion on whether the day should be done or food should be bought. Welcome back to TheStream, your source of all trout fishing information. As the fishermen retire from the stream for the day, they have to make the uphill plod from sea level to Chevy level. And let me tell you, that's a long walk. Made even longer by the fact that not one received a bite today. It's hot, no bites, and yet the determined fisherman plods uphill, catching their breath all the while.
4 months from 69. If I make it.
Deranged by the sun and heat. After the plod uphill, next comes the load up phase, where all these fishing poles must make it in a safe manner into the Jeep. This may seem like a difficult task to some, but to the determined fisherman, the load up phase is not hard.
I want that video on my documentary. I don't want that video on my show.
What video? You don't want that video?
It's not a video, it's a documentary.
Documentary of the determined fisherman.
There's a tradition in the Childers Gregory family to fish in April. That's a family tradition.
Needing a respite from the rigmarole and mundaneness of fishing for nothing, the dedicated fisherman must take a break and view the picturesqueness of his surroundings.
But if you got hired on to go down there and cut all